Hello everyone, welcome to SDNBit. In this channel I share network automation and programmability content, and in today's video we will dive deeper into Cisco DNA Center API capabilities and features. In the previous video we did very basic interactions with DNA Center Sandbox, but in this video we will take it further and explore a lot of various APIs. So let's get started. As you can see, I have already opened up my Cisco DNA Center 2.3.3.5 Sandbox. So this is a version of this particular DNA Center platform. And I will need to indicate the version because I will have to find an API documentation corresponding to this particular Sandbox version, right? And in the Sandbox access section, I have the credentials. If you wish, you can open up this web page and access the DNA Center graphical user interface, GUI, but I am not going to do it. In this video, we'll interact with the device only and only with APIs. Okay, so I have already opened up the documentation page for a DNA Center. As you can see, you can follow this link, or you can basically Google Cisco DNA Center API documentation, and this is the web page you will get. You will find the corresponding version. In my case, as I have already mentioned, it's 2.3.3. So this is it. And let's press next and go to API section. And here we have Swagger kind of, not Swagger, but this is a little bit different than Swagger. So we have this API documentation with convenient icons and colors to make it easier to work with APIs. Of course, the first step will be authentication. As always, in any Cisco platform, we have to find a token, retrieve its value, and store it. So I'm not going to do anything with Postman or curl in this video because they are very, very simple to use. If you wish to do it, you can basically just press this template and it will generate the curl request for this particular API automatically. And basically, it's not very scalable. And also the Postman is very easy to use. You can download the DNA Center Postman collection and just send API requests within a few GUI clicks. But again, because this is very easy and we want to dive deeper and explore, I'm not going to do it in this video. Besides, if you can construct a Python script to interact with APIs, it means you automatically know how to work with Postman or curl. The most important part is actually to dive deeper. So I'm going to open up my Visual Studio Code, and in my DNA folder, I will create a new Python file called DNA API.py. Okay, the first library, obviously, as always, to work with HTTP protocol verbs is request library. I'm importing it. I will import JSON if I have to convert data to native Python dictionaries or lists to be able to access specific key within the data output. And for now, I think it's fine. We can also disable SSL TLS checks, right? Disable warnings, to be precise, warnings. I don't want to see any warnings, so I think it was requests, packages. I'm just going to open up and find it here. Requests, packages, URL lib 3, not exceptions, but disable warnings. Yes, there you go. I'm basically going to disable this so I don't see any warning. Okay, that's perfect. And now we can start defining our constant variables. So let's say constant variables. So the first one will be the host name, obviously. Or actually, we could say URL. Like, we don't really need to say host name. Let's say base URL, right? Base URL will be, in this case, I will just copy it from my sandbox. So let me open up my sandbox. This is it. Let me copy this and let me come back here. Sorry for the delay. I had to check one thing. Okay, so let's continue. Yeah, I am trying to basically create a base URL variable. This is it. Very simple. And let's create username and password variables. Devnet user and password will be. Let me just copy and paste it right here. Okay, so this is pretty much it. It should be enough to begin with. We can also indicate port, but I don't really need to do it now, I think. So it should be enough. Let's start by defining our first function, which will be authentication. I will call it auth. I will keep it short. And let's indicate the endpoint API. Let's just say API. Let's keep it short and simple. And I will indicate API, which is indicated on my documentation right here. So because we don't work with certificates, because it's a lab environment and we don't really care about security, I will just directly authenticate, and I will add this here inside quotation marks. Okay, this is my API. Let's make it actually with capital letters so we can distinguish easily. Headers also with capital letters. Okay, that's pretty good. Which kind of headers we should put? Content type and application. Okay, let's do that. It will be application/JSON, and the same should be here, but we will accept it, right? Accept. So content type means when you send request, make sure it is in JSON format, and accept means when you receive a response from the server, make sure the received response is in JSON format, right? So we're telling the server to wrap up everything in JSON format and send it back to us, basically. Okay, this looks good. Now let's create a response variable, which will store the response of our request. And let's send a post request, because that's what we have to do based on documentation. Our URL will be base URL plus, let's make it even more readable. I will basically say URL is base URL plus API. Let's see if it works. I'm not sure. It may not work because of maybe there's different concat rules, but we will see. Headers, right? And don't verify anything. And we don't need any payload here, so that's why I don't have to indicate data parameter. And you have to basically, okay, let's first see what we are getting as a response, right? I'm gonna return response text first. And now let's call this function and print its output. So print authentication function output. And let's run and see what's going on. It will not work because I forgot about a very simple thing. But no, it should work. Yes, it should work because we are retrieving a token, right? We're not getting any other information. We just have to retrieve. Okay, failed to establish connection, blah, 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 blah. Too many errors here. Interesting why. Let me real quick check the template for Python. Maybe I forgot something. Why I have to do this again? What is the point of doing this? I do send a post request. I think it should be, okay, can I see the error? DNA, okay, I see, there is, okay, there's concat issue here. There's a concat issue. Can we say like this? I just want to make it more readable. I don't know, let me try this. Okay. Let's try like this and make sure it works, because if it works, it means it's a concatenation issue. Oh my god, it doesn't work. Failed to establish a new connection. System API. Am I sending a post request? I am sending a post request. This is the URL. This is the header. I just don't really understand why I am. Let me quit this extra. Okay, whatever. Okay, so let me understand what's going on. Well, everything looks like it's all right. I don't. Okay, there we go. I forgot the slash here. I forgot the slash. That's why I forgot the slash, and because of this symbol, we're getting errors. It should work now. Error: authorization scheme null is not allowed for this API. Authorization scheme null is not allowed for this API. This is interesting. What do you mean? I mean, I think it wants me to add this, but I don't really understand why. Okay, let me read this. Authentication API. Let me actually put this name here so it's easier to name the function based on the official API documentation, right? Okay, so API to obtain an access token, which remains valid for 1 hour. The token obtained using this API is required to be set as value to X authentication token, okay, for all API calls to Cisco DNA Center. Okay, I know what's the problem. I have to put this here. So username, yeah, like I haven't indicated the, yeah, and let's put it before headers actually, because it is how it should be technically, I think. So yeah, let me run this again. Okay, there you go. We get the token. And now we just have to extract a token from here. And let me try to make this URL thing now. Let's see if it works. Base URL plus API. And let me say URL right here. Let me save and response text token. Let's see if it works. Okay, string in this must be integers. Okay, we have to load it in JSON, I think. Yeah, we have to load. Okay, basically, let's say token. Make it like this. Token is going to be JSON and load this into native Python file, please. Python data type. And return this token after you did just that. And actually, let's be more specific and indicate the token itself, right? Because that's what we are doing technically. Let me save and run again. Okay, the string indices must be integers. Aren't they integers? It's interesting. It's interesting why it doesn't work. Okay, let me just delete this and try to understand what exactly are we working with. Maybe I made a mistake somewhere. It's a dictionary, so what's the problem? We are getting the token out of the dictionary. Okay, you know what? Let's make it like this. Return token. Let's return it like that. Okay, perfect. It works now. There we go. This function is not authenticating though. It's more of a get token, right? So maybe we should check it and say change it and say get token, because that makes more sense. This is what our function essentially does. It gets the token from the device. So maybe here we can say JSON object or something like that, maybe. Or it's fine. I think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, let us put it like this for now. Okay, so we have the token now, and we'll use this token for subsequent API calls, right? And let's keep going and now explore what we have in our API documentation, right? We have successfully did retrieve it. Is there anything that I should know? There is no query parameters. Okay, we don't have to do this because I am already using a built-in function that does it for me, I think. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so let's keep going. Let's start with sites. Let's go by this list. So let's start with get site. Very simple API request. All I have to do is just create a new function here. I will copy this. Oh, let me actually create from scratch so that it's, yeah. Let's say def, and what exactly are we doing here? We are, what are you doing? Get site using site name or hierarchy, site ID type, return all sites if these parameters are not given as input. Get site, okay. Simple as that, get site. That will be the name of our function. The API for this function, the endpoint URI for this function will be this. I'm going to copy and paste it. Okay, there we go. Then I have to identify the full URL, which will be base URL plus API for this function. And then I will indicate headers, obviously. I can basically copy and paste, but we will do some different things here. So let me see actually how it composes its headers here. If I can open this up. What about the token though? Where do we identify token? Add headers. Okay, they don't provide any information about that, which is a little bit kind of stupid why they don't do it. Because yeah, I have to indicate this. Maybe they did indicate it here. XOuth token, that's what I have to do, but the headers, I mean, where authorization, string of the basic followed by space, password. But no, this is for the first time. We don't need this. We are doing this automatically. What we need is we have to add new entry here and say, let me copy that X authentication token, right? And the value of the token. So the value of the token will be basically token, but let me actually do it like this. Token is, we have to call this function, and yeah, there we go. This is how we're gonna return and put token here. We have to change it here. Let's say JSON response, right? And from JSON response, fetch the token. Okay, we have to put the comma here for syntax. Okay, it looks like that's it. We have constructed our header of HTTP. We have the token, the access token we need for our subsequent API calls. The content type and accept is here. Good. Now let's build our response variable, which will store the output or response of our request. We will send a GET request. We'll indicate the URL. That's pretty good. We don't have to indicate any credentials now because we're using access token. We'll just indicate this and verify false, right? Let's fix this also. This is pretty good. Okay, response, and should we make it JSON? Let's make it JSON again. I would basically say JSON loads, right? Response.text and return JSON response. Let's see what it consists of first. So I'm gonna call the getSite function. GetSite. I'm gonna save, and let's see how it works. Perfect. It works real good. We have the output, but output is not so readable. It's a little bit messy, but thanks to Python embedded prettyprint library, that we can make it more and more convenient for our eyes. So I will just prettyprint getSite function with indentation of 4, and I will say Control S, and I will rerun the script. Okay, this is better. So we have response, and the response consists of a list, and there is ID. This is site ID, right? Okay, perfect. We have site ID here. We have parent ID. We have the name of the site. This is San Jose site. And then there's another SGSA20 site here. So as far as I'm concerned, how many sites here? We can see by name. We have a global site object. We have San Jose. And is there anything else here? And this one. But from all of these sites, I can see that San Jose consists a lot of information. There is the address, country, latitude, longitude, type, a lot of keys here, a lot of keys. So let's see what else we can do with this API. Maybe we can filter some of our output by indicating some additional parameters. So let me open up this API again, getSite. So getSite using site name hierarchy, request parameters. We can indicate a name. Okay, but how do we do it? Offset limit. As far as I'm concerned, we have to use a question mark to indicate that, and name. Okay, let me see the example body. The request was successful, the result was conducted. This is the result, yeah. Okay, this is the status codes that we could receive and what kind of errors we can encounter, obviously. But what I see here is we don't have so many parameters. We have name parameter, we have site ID, we have type. Obviously, site ID will be inconvenient for us because it's very long. So we can make a type or name. So let's make it a name. Let's start with the very basic one. I'm going to open up my VS Code again. And in this URI, endpoint URI, I will add the question mark to indicate that I will follow with the parameter. And the parameter, as per API documentation, will be the name. So, and it has to be the string. So let me say name is San Jose. And let's try to run this, and let's see if we will have shorter output. The input site is not valid, or site is not present. Okay, there's something wrong with my, I guess, with my syntax. So let's see what else we can find here. It's a pity that they don't show the parameters. Like, okay, what if I say here, San Jose, how do you maybe it's with dash. Let's assume it's with dash. And in template, how do I see that in template? Okay, site ID. Ah, there you go. They have. Okay, so, well, it should have been, but maybe it's because of dash. Let's see. Control S. I'm pretty sure I saw San Jose there. I just don't remember if it had dash. What's the best thing to verify it? Let's just resend the request and see the output. Okay, I was no, I was right. I was right. Why it didn't work though? Let me see again. There's a question mark. That's right. I said name is equal to San Jose. Right? Let's even delete this. Let's say we don't have the square parameters. In this case, it's very simple, right? What about the Python request? How do you indicate that in URL? There's nothing. And if I add parameters, default parameters, and if I look at the request, yes, name, no, Site ID no, type no, offset 1. Let's try offset 1. Let's see what offset 1 does. I will basically say question mark offset 1. Control S, rerun the script. Okay, it did something. Yeah, it's definitely shorter, but I don't know what exactly it did with my script. I still see global, I still see San Jose, I still see this. Okay, maybe it's not shorter, maybe I'm just wrong with my eyes. Anything else here? The limit, 500. Okay, let's put a different limit value here. Let me change this offset and let's say limit. So it's maximum 500, let's say 50. I don't know what it does exactly, let's just see. Obviously it's going to limit some output, but how it limits, what exactly it limits, I don't know. Is that line? Let's make it 5. I just don't know what's going to happen. Is it page or what? Well, I think it's page because I don't see any difference in this call. So, but I still want to use my name. I still want to use this. I don't know why I can't though. It looks like I'm doing everything right, but name, you want a string, right? Okay, the string is basically San Jose. Maybe I should say like this. I don't know. Like this is a little bit interesting that I cannot get a simple filter. There is no response. Input site is not valid. It's not valid. Or site is not present. What if I say global, right? I saw there was also global. Okay, it works. It's very interesting. The global works. So it's either me making a stupid syntax mistake or there's something wrong with DNA center. Let me retry to see the full output. And I'm pretty sure it's here. Like all I did, I just changed this to global. Let's try this one, SJC20. Let's try and see if it works. So the question mark, name, SJC20, rerun the script. Interesting. I think I'm missing something, or maybe I'm not indicating something, but essentially it is how it is, right? So maybe let's try type. Let's see the entire output again. Let's see, the type is also string. Ah, okay, there you go. I think this is what I missed. There is a hierarchy, right? We have to indicate global, and inside global, maybe we have that. Okay, maybe that's the problem. Let me try with that. I'm gonna say question mark, name, global, and San Jose. Maybe like this. Maybe it will work. Let's see. Yes, perfect. There you go. I forgot about the hierarchy. So we have to indicate the global one first, and then within the global, we have to indicate our name of site ID. So let's try to see what else we can do here. We can also say like filter by type of the site. It could be building, area, or floor. I saw that we had a building, right? I saw that we had a building somewhere. Let me go back to, okay. Let me go back to see the entire output. Type building. Okay, let's try that. Question mark for filtering and adding parameters. And type will be a building, right? Control S. Let's retry the script. Yeah, it works. Perfect. Okay, we have some interesting filters here. Let me just indicate San Jose maybe, or I would just leave it like this because we have explored enough of this API, which is under the sites category. So let's see what we have here else. We have get site count. So this API basically returns the amount of sites. It should be very easy to implement it. I will basically copy this and paste it here, and I will add count word here because that's basically what we change. And obviously /count. It should return the number as far as I'm concerned, but everything else looks exactly the same, right? We changed the API, we still need token, we still need JSON format, and you know what I'm also interested, what is the response type? Like this response variable, in what type it comes? Maybe I don't even have to load it in JSON, right? I just want to see that. So let me basically call this function and see the output. Let's see what we get. Okay, it's a class. Response 3 version 1. 3. There we go. This is my response. This is my response because, yeah, and it's accurate. We have 3 sites. We have global, we have San Jose, and we have SJC-20. So let me just extract that particular value. I need a response value from here, right? Response. And let me rerun the script to see if I can get the count. Perfect. Perfect. This script works just fine. Just fine. As good as it gets. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I like it. Let's talk about get site health. So this API returns overall health information for all sites. Okay, the same approach. I'm gonna paste it here. Get site health. I'm gonna change the health. Health. And probably the last part is site-health. Okay, site-health. This is very important to memorize, actually, because in questions, in exam questions, in certification exams, you might have questions which ask you what is the exact endpoint URI to retrieve the site health from DNA Center, for example, and you have to know this hierarchy here. So we first start with DNA, intent, API. This is almost unchanged, and the version also, it can be changed based on updates, but the last part is very important, the site health, right? It's not site/health. This is not going to work. We have to be very, very precise here. It's going to be like this. Anything else that I should see, I will just remove this part because I don't know which kind of output I get. I just want to see everything. And let me basically now call this function and see what are we getting as an output. Let me run this. It takes some time. It takes more time than I have expected, I'm going to be honest, but yeah, we have a lot of data here, so that makes sense. Again, the response key, which consists of a value, which is a list, and there's a lot of information here. Access, good count, 2, whatever that means, I don't know. Network health switch, network health router none. So the switch has a health of 100, meaning it's 100% healthy, so it is not faulty, right? We get the site ID. What else? Most of, as you can see, most of keys don't have any value. None basically means there's no information, no data. Yeah, so there's not much information here. So maybe we can extract exactly health network device percentage, for example. This value might be very convenient to extract. So let me try to do this. Response. What else we have? Switch device good count. Switch device total count. Okay, so we have in total 4 switches, and the good state switches, meaning the switches which are in good state, are 4, meaning all of our devices are in good state. That's what it basically means. Anything else that I should be aware of? We are gating parent site ID and site ID. We don't need this for now. San Jose. Okay. There's nothing much. Maybe we can apply some filters and see what's going on. So timestamp, epoch time in milliseconds when the site hierarchy is required. Okay, that's very useful. Site type of the site to return area or building. Default is area. Okay, interesting. And that's it. There's nothing else. Oh, maybe we can try site type filter. Let's just see where it will take us. I'm going to apply it right here, question mark. And was that site type? Site type, let's say, by default it's area. And interestingly, they put it with capital letters. So let's try building with capital letters. And let's try to see the output. I'm pretty sure that San Jose was a building. Let's see if it will shorten the output. Or maybe all of them are buildings, I don't even know. I haven't really paid attention to that. Interestingly, it takes some time though, like, I don't know why it's a little bit slow. Site name building, okay, we have a filter. The output's pretty much the same, meaning probably all of them are buildings anyway. Okay. Okay, let's get some information from here, right? Let's get something that we could need. Total count, good count 2. Let's see healthy network device percentage maybe. This makes a little bit sense. This is something that we could get as a value, right? But it's within the response. So let's see how we actually get these values. So let's first try to return the response key, and let's see what it consists of. Takes some time. Okay. Yeah, we get the list. I don't know if I should indicate the list, like, do we have to indicate that we are working with the number, index number 0, or we can basically do it. Network health access, network health average, network health switch. there's a lot of information here. Perhaps. Okay, let me try to retrieve this value. I'm gonna basically add it here without the list. So let's see if we get an error or no. We might get an error. Yes, we get an error because it is okay, let's try it. Let's see. It should be better now. Yeah, perfect. 100. So it means 100%. So we had to indicate the list. So healthy network device percentage, it will show us the total percentage of the sites, I guess. So this is a very great function to have in case we want to real quick check the overall status of site health. Okay, another API has been explored. Now let's see if we can create a site, right? We have 3 sites, we get the count, and we know information about each of them now. But let's see if we can create the site. This is going to be interesting and a little bit different because now we will use a post request. Let me actually create the new function here, and I will call it exactly like here, create site. This is not a get data, this is a post data. So let's check, let's just change the verb directly so we don't have any issues afterwards, right? So basically it creates site with area building for with specified hierarchy. Perfect, this is the API, DNA intent API v1 site, pretty much the same with the get site. Okay, we still need token and we still need all these things, right? And let's see the body. Okay, so we need new object here called payload. I will put it after headers because that makes sense based on hierarchy. Payload, and in this payload variable, I will indicate the actual payload. And this payload also will be indicated in data parameter here. Perfect. Now let's see what we can put inside this payload. Request requires a body. And give me an example of a body. Is that how it should be? Schema definition, create site request, type string, site object, area, name, building name, address, blah, 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 for. Okay, there's a lot of information. Let me see the example of the body. Okay, so let me see if I don't know if I can create so because it's an always on lab and probably I will not have access to be able to modify this kind of data, but I will try. But just in case, whether I have access or no, this is how you create a new site in Cisco DNA Center. Okay, so there's a lot of information. There's tons of information here, right? Let me put a little bit for distance here. So site, area, name. Let's put the name of test, or let's not be very sentimental. Let's see what we can put. Let's put some planet name. Let's say it's Jupiter, for example, right? The parent name. What do you mean? The parent name is global because it will be under global, right? Okay. The building, the floor and the area. The name of the building, well, let's say Milky Way. Technically, it's not a building, but you know, address. Let's say near the moon, near the moon. What I'm saying, near the Saturn. Parent name for the building. I don't think we have the parent name for the building. Parent name. What we can put? Can we just not put this? Like, is it really necessary? Parent name. Solar system. Let's assume solar system, right? I think we can put like this. We don't really need to put underlines. Who cares? Latitude and longitude. Well, let's just leave it as it is. Cubes and volt offices. RF model. Well, this is definitely not cube. Let's say just space. Parent name of the floor. Beyond asteroid belt. The floor, name of the floor. Far away. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, I'm testing out. It looks like fine, but I can see that there is definitely some kind of indentation issue here. Maybe we can do like this, if that makes sense. We don't need this one, right? And we don't also need this one. So this is enclosed here, this one is enclosed here, and these ones are enclosed here. Okay, very, very interesting. And we don't have to return anything, I think. Do we have to return something? We're posting. Let me think about that. Let me first indicate the function. Well, it could return something, but I don't really know what. Maybe the status of the code. Okay, let's just try to see if it has output. Just return it as in that style. But most importantly, just return also. No, we cannot return this. Maybe we can return like this. JSON. Okay, let's just return the status code first. Or just let's just print it. Let's not return. Just print, just to verify. Print response.status code, right? Because if it's created, it has to be 204 or something like that. I'm just gonna verify if it's working or no. You know, nothing much. Okay, so we have the headers, we have the token, we have the endpoint URI. Let's verify if it's all right. Yes, it's all right. This is the example body, request body form. Give me JSON request. Oh my God, it was very simple. It was actually very simple. I literally could just, yeah. Okay, let's make it actually shorter because I don't really need to have a huge payload with a lot of problems, right? Let me do it. Yeah, this is much better. Area, we don't have building, floor, and yeah, floor. Well, cubes and vault offices. Let's say beyond asteroid belt. Type area. Well, okay. Okay, this is very short payload, exactly what I need, right? Okay, I'm gonna save it and let's try. Let's see what response we have. Role does not have valid permissions to access the API. I was expecting that, to be honest, but even if we don't have a role, this is basically how you create the new site. All you have to do again, API endpoint is the same as getSite API, right? Everything else remains exactly the same. We just add new variable called payload. This will be our request body, because if we want to change the state of an object in the server or in the API resource, we have to use the HTTP request body, right? We have to indicate new information which we want to apply to our server in the data payload, in the request body, right? There we go. And then we indicate it here with a data parameter, and we send a post request. Very important to send a post request. Post request is an HTTP verb which is designated to create a new resource on the target data source, right? Very simple. Okay, but everything else was good. And the status code said 403, which basically means unauthorized. I don't have necessary amount of privileges or level of privileges to be able to modify the data source. Let's leave it here. This is a good function which can serve us well if we use another sandbox of DNA, and that sandbox provides us the post request methods. But for now, yeah, we cannot do it. And there is also assign device to site. Well, if we use this API, basically it has a little bit different API endpoint URL. As you can see, assign device to site, then we indicate site by its ID, and then device. So let's actually use one of these functions to get the site ID, right? Because technically, I don't really care about getting all the sites. Let's get site ID. That makes a lot of sense. And if I run this function, I will get a lot of output, but I need exactly ID. So let me see how I'm gonna fetch that. That's very useful. There we go, ID. Okay, response. Within response, okay, let's see how it goes. Where is it? It has to be somewhere here. There we go. Return response. Return response. So the list element number 0. And it was ID, right? It was basically ID. So let me see what it returns. But there are multiple IDs though. We return just one, so we have to loop over, I think, yeah? Let me actually call this function from my PowerShell. I'm going to find this place where I have DNA, okay, cd DNA, right, OS, there you go. Python, DNA API.py. Yeah, perfect. I'm going to use this to make my request here because it's easier to basically read the output, right, from my terminal than integrated, embedded Visual Studio Code terminal. So again, let me just delete this for now and see the entire output because I have to save it somewhere. We run the script. Okay, now let's see. There is ID number 1, number 2, number 3, so we have to loop through, right? We have to create a logic which loops it through and gets a list. So we can store the output in the list format, right? Let me think about that actually. Let me think about that. Let me see what we can do about it. So how we can actually basically we will need a for, obviously. We'll need a for method to make a loop. And so for ID in JSON response, maybe. Let's assume print, let's see if we can return print ID. Let's see what it will return to begin with, right? That makes sense. That makes perfect sense, at least to begin with. Response none. Okay, so let's maybe, let's a little bit specify deeper that we are inside response list. Let's see what's going on now. Okay, now we have the first element of the, I don't know why we get it in this format though, like technically shouldn't we make it with pretty print? Is there just one ID? I can see that we have just global here. Ah, we have all of them, okay. Now can you basically get the ID for, let's say for site, because technically we're in site, and we can make it sites, right? Okay, sites. That makes more sense. Print site ID. Let's see if it's gonna work. Perfect. It works. Absolutely amazing. There we go. But the return cannot return every single ID though. This is a little bit. But we can store it in the list. We can store it in the new list. Let's say yeah, let's say site list. Site list. Caps lock is not working. Okay. So it's a new list and you have to append each ID there. Or no, we have to, we basically have to say site list. Site list append. We don't have append here. Well, we should have append because we haven't indicated site list here, right? So let's say site list is a basic list, which consists, okay, perfect, it works now. Append site ID was lowercase. And after you did this, return site list. This should work very good. Perfect. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That's amazing. That's amazing. This is what I need. So we're looping through each site within the sites, within the response of our call, and then we are extracting ID specifically, and we're adding each ID to a list element here, and then we're returning this element after it's finished, right? Perfect. Just perfect. That's what we need. Okay, so this is perfect because now we have a site, now we have a function which dynamically retrieves IDs of all the sites. And let's see what else we can do here. Get membership. What does it mean? Getting the site children details and device details. Okay, this is interesting. I don't know what it does, but let me just create a function which will do it. And we'll have a chance to see how it works, basically. Let me get this function, for example, to copy that. I will paste it over here, right? Let's rename it to get membership. Get membership, that's what we will call. The API resource, membership, site ID, perfect. Let me just add it here. Okay, nice. Site ID. So site ID, are we going to do it for every single site or no? I think this is the question, right? So because if we'll do it for every single site, we have to include everything for inside the for loop. But since I don't really want to do it because I just need one site, for example, let me think. Maybe we can. One might be enough. Okay, we have to fill it with site ID anyway, so let me try to add this variable here. Site ID is basically get site ID. That's a list, right? Get the element number 0. Does it work like this? Or yeah, because we'll get a list and I'm telling you get the element number 0 from the list, right? Okay, it should work though. So we have an API here, and what else? We send a GET request. Site ID to retrieve device associated with the site. Okay, I'm putting it there. We don't really have a lot of query parameters, just serial number and device family. And the response should be something like this, as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So let's try it actually. Membership. I don't know what does it mean, membership. What exactly I'm getting a member of. And we don't need response here, right? Because I don't know what I will get. So let me just save it without any kind of extra things. It looks fine. Let's run it. Let's run it and see what's going on. Okay, it takes 0 positional arguments. It takes 0 positional arguments. Okay, so what if I say we add a positional argument here to site ID, right? Where is it? Let's say ID. But we have to use it, right? Do we have to use it somewhere? No, we don't have to. But how do we... Okay, so this is a very simple Python situation with functions. I will try to remind how can I do this. Because we're getting a list. So the output is a list, right? Maybe, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should put it like this. That makes sense, actually. Okay, sorry for that. Let's retry. Looks like it worked now. Yes, it worked. It worked for global, right? Or for... There's too much data here. But essentially, I can see the global. Global consists of others. But there is a lot of information here. Okay, let's try to understand what's going on. The membership. Collection status managed. Description IS software. Catalyst L3 switch. Device support level supported. Switches and hubs. Hostname switch 1. Instance tenant ID. Wow, there is a lot of information. I can see a management IP address. I can see a MAC address. I can see a lot of things here, but I still... Can I search for San Jose maybe? Yes, I can see San Jose here and here. Okay. So look at this. So we have global. Within global, we have San Jose. And within San Jose, we have SGC20. Okay. Okay, that's how it works now. They're not independent. Okay. I still don't understand what it does. Like, exactly. Getting the site children details and device details. Getting a site children. Okay, what if I say, give me information about not the global, but the last element in the list, which is 0, 1, 2, which is basically... Which element was that? SGC-20, right? Let's see if we will get a different type of output here. Let me actually clear the screen. Yeah, we do. Site doesn't have device member with given device family or serial number as input. This is the site ID, and yeah, it doesn't. That's right, because it's the last element. But if I issue this command by saying that the second element of the list, which is the San Jose site, I should get a different type of output. A little bit longer, and indicating that yes, there is one member, and this is this member. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I was expecting. Yes, that's exactly what I was expecting. Device member was given device family or several number as input. Okay. Okay, that's fine. What we can use, which parameters we can use? Serial number and device family. Serial number device. Okay, let's try device family. Let's see what it will give to me. I'm adding a question mark, right? Device family. And let me look at the output and find this device family. Device family, where is it? I don't really see any device family here. I saw in the previous output, but I cannot see it here. What about serial number? Do we have a serial number here? Let me actually find it, right? Serial. Doesn't have index, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me try to run it again for the first element, and so we have better output to work with. Okay, do we see the family now or something like that? Family, switches and hubs, is that it? Device family. What about the serial number? Let me actually serial. Yeah, we have serial number. Let's try this filter. Question mark. right? Serial number, copy, paste, control save, rerun the script, I guess. Okay, that was a little bit faster. Yeah. Okay, it works. We indicated the serial number, but because we don't have so many options in our DNA center, yeah, it's basically enough to test. Okay, it works. I think we explored a lot of things inside this sites API. We definitely checked every single GET request. We cannot, unfortunately, use post request because we don't have the necessary privilege, and probably can't also delete the site. But if we had to delete the site, let's try to construct another script which does just that, just for you to know that we also can do it. And basically, I'm going to, maybe I can, let me actually, I can actually do it this one. I will put it right here, and I will name it delete site, like here, right? Yeah, the site ID we can delete from, yes, perfect. Let's assume we want to delete this one, or this one. Let me see the URL, very simple URL, we don't need this part, right? And membership, also fix it. Site, just the site. Okay, so if we want to delete the site, it has the API DNA intent API site, and we define the site ID, so it deletes it. I have to change request from get to delete, because we're deleting an object from the resource. And the status code, maybe we can print the status code. Print response status code. It will not work, but just in case, if I need to delete the site, I have a ready function for that. And that looks good. That looks good. What else I have to do here? I'm just thinking about what else I could do, but there's nothing much I can do. So let's try to delete the site. Well, everything is ready. Let's launch the operation, delete the site, and yeah, again, status code 403, meaning unauthorized access. Message as a response code, as a response body saying to me that role does not have valid permissions to access the API. But just in case, if I had the role, if I had the privilege, I would already delete this SJC site from our DNA center platform. Simple as that, right? Okay, very, very cool. So we tried the get requests, we tried the post requests and delete requests. Anyway, if I want to update something on the site or replace something, I would use this particular API, and it also needs some body, right? So let's see the request body in JSON. Pretty much the same like post. I will just replace it. So the difference between put and post is that post will create a completely new resource, so we can have like duplicated resources, but put will basically update and replace the content of the existing resource. It will not create anything else. It will basically update an existing resource. That's the only difference between post and put. Put cannot create a separate object. Let's put it this way. It's not going to work also, maybe. I don't know. Because if I can't, but maybe it can work because it's a little bit different. We are not creating something new. We are not deleting something that exists. We are basically changing a little bit of information, right? That's all we do. So maybe we can try this out and see what's going on. So I will basically copy this function, right? And I will change its name to update. Everything else looks the same. That's what I'm going to update. I'm not creating any new. And I will put the put request here, put the put. And yeah, I will return the status code just to see if it's working. And I will call this function. And also the endpoint API must be with site ID. So we have to indicate the site ID we're working with, which is a little bit different than the post, and which makes perfect sense. Let's say site ID. Let's fill this with this information. Let's say I'm going to change the last site, right? Who might care about the last site? No one. If I change the name from, Okay, and let's try to run this function. Update site. That makes it clear, and rerun the script. Okay, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, I don't have valid permission to do it. So yeah, unfortunately, Always On Sandbox does not provide us with enough privileges to be able to modify resource using post, put, or delete requests. So yeah, It's pretty much read-only user that we're working with. But again, in case you need to update something, you know how to do it. We just created a function that does that by, yeah, this. Perfect. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's for now finish with sites. Let's move on and open up the topology. It's been more than 1 hour than recording, but it's fine. Let's still go ahead and try out what else we can do. Get VLAN details. Okay, that looks like a decent API. We will need to fetch information about the VLANs. Okay, so let's just do that. That's a GET request, right? Yeah, and probably it's going to be something like this, so it will have multiple VLANs. So let me just actually create the list also, if there is a list. Okay, let's start by modifying the API. Let's start from modifying the API. Let's start to do it, and okay, VLAN names. Anything else here? Something dynamic maybe? No, nothing, absolutely. Query parameters. Is there something here? Oh, I don't see much of query parameters. We're just getting a basic VLAN list. Okay, let's go back here. It's a GET request. Let's for now basically comment this, right? And let's say VLANs and return VLANs. And okay, the name, I forgot the most important part. Get VLAN details. That's the name. That's the name. Perfect. Let's run the script. Okay, we have two VLANs, as you can see. Perfect. If I activate my function here and I delete this return VLANs here, it will be VLAN list, obviously. VLAN list. VLAN in VLANs. We get a response, right? Perfect. Yeah, you see how everything is identical. Like the construction and development of APIs were pretty much the same. So in the beginning, it might be difficult to construct your first function, but as you move on, you find the similarities, and all you have to do, copy and paste your existing functions and modify necessary fields to be able to send a request to the new resource. It's not as difficult as it looks like in the beginning, right? Okay, let's try to see if I get the list. Pretty much the same function. Okay, string indices must be integers. Okay, what I'm saying, what was ID here? What is ID? We just have a list here. We don't have any IDs here. So, I guess it doesn't have to do anything then. Just add VLANs there, right? This should be enough. Let's see. Yeah, perfect. That's right. We have the list now. It's even simpler. Perfect. We have the list of VLANs now. If we need it, we can use it afterwards. So get physical topology. I don't know how it works. What do you mean physical topology? How we can view a physical topology as a response of an API call? How is that even possible? Let's find out by basically creating a new function. I'm going to create this function again, and I will modify it. Don't really need to modify a lot of values. So what it does, it returns the raw physical topology by specified criteria of node type. Wow. Okay. Let me copy this. So DNA intent API topology physical topology. That's where we access this, right? Always issues this for some reason. Topology of VLAN names, topology of physical topology. Okay. We don't need anything related to VLANs. I'm going to delete all of this. And let's say topology. And return topology. It looks like it's down. I don't see anything else that I have to change. Let me rerun the script and see what we get. Oh my god, that's a lot of data, I think, yeah? Okay, so that's how we get topology, right? In JSON format. Response, links, yeah. Well, this is very interesting. Do we have filters here? Let me see, what kind of filters? The node type. Okay, can I see any kind of node type here? Let me find node type. Yes, device. Node type is always device, so there's no point of filtering it out. Yeah, so basically that's it. Topology details, what it does. Okay, we can get topology details by indicating special VLAN. Okay, but you understand the idea is pretty much the same. There's nothing very different in this. Get L3 topology, we put topology type, And topology type is something specified here, in my opinion, right? Let me see type. Node type, device type, node type, device type, node type, device type. No, it's not specified here. Maybe it's specified somewhere else. This is very interesting. Get overall network health. As the name implies, it returns overall network health information by device category, access, distribution, core, router, wireless, or any given point of time. This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Let me try that. This sounds very good. This sounds very interesting. API call, right? Let me do that. So the name is get overall network health, right? Cool. Change it here. The API is DNA API, basically network health. Let me run it, type it manually because I have to memorize this maybe. Network health, right? Is that right? That's right. Network health. It will return the overall health. And let's say health. Return health. Okay, it looks like it's ready. So let's run the script. Okay, what we have here, health contributing devices 4, good percentage 100, good count 2, and that's pretty much it. Monitor devices 4, health score 100, latest health score 100. Well, yes. Let's just fetch this value from this output. I think it should be enough for our the latest. Yeah, let's say we need the latest health score. Okay, 100, perfect. So if I want to retrieve the latest health score value, I will just call this function, get overall network health, and I will have the value. Perfect, that's nice from topology group. Okay, so we explored sites, topology, and authentication. Now let's dive into devices. There is a lot of things in devices, a lot of APIs, a lot of API calls. For example, sync devices to sync network device sync. So this probably syncs the special indicated devices. Okay, get device interface count. There's a lot of information here. Yeah, I think this is the richest API category in DNA Center, the device category. Okay, let's start with very, very basic get device list, right? Very basic, nothing special, extremely simple, right? I'm sorry. Okay, get overall network health. I will just change the name, get device list. Right, get device list. I think I already tried it in my previous call. Yeah, but let's retry it again because it's very important to see. Returns list of network devices based on filter criteria such as, okay, we have a lot of filters. Management IP, MAC address, host name. You can use the asterisk in any value to conduct a wildcard search. Okay. For example, to find all host names beginning with my host in the IP address range of this, issue the following GET request, question mark, host name, my host. Okay. Yeah, it's very, very dynamic when it comes to searching capabilities and listing capabilities, so perfect. Let's say devices, right? Devices. Return devices. We don't need this for now. And API is very important. API v1 network device. I will just delete the health and I will say device. Okay, it looks like it's ready. Let me run the script. Okay, yeah, we have a device list. It's there's a lot of output. Now let's try to play with filters. I'm gonna say question mark, and which filter I have? Host name. Let's start by host name. Okay, I will specify it myself. Host name, and in the output, for example, switch 1, right? Control S, and rerunning the script. Okay, yeah, we have shorter output, and this output is only for switch 1. It works just perfect. What else? Let's say management IP address. Okay, I have that here, and the IP address, it's going to be this value right here. So let me add this, and let's rerun the script. Perfect, it works. Yeah, that's right, that's fine. Okay, let's see. I don't need to filter this. Let's actually, you know what? Let's create a dynamic filter so that we can specify how I want to filter our device. So let's say we have the filter here. Let's say Okay, we have the filter list here, which consists of multiple keys, right? And let's put 2 for now, hostname and management IP address, right? Where is the management IP address? There you go. This is the list. And let's assume the question mark will be there, but actually, okay, let me think about that filter. Okay, that makes sense. Get device list. We have to add filter to this URL. So the URL will be plus filter. There we go. But which filter? We have to indicate which filter I want though. We can do it, or we can basically input that value. What do you think about basically dynamic? What do you guys think? Maybe we can basically input this value. Maybe we can say filter is something the user inputs, and let's say enter filter, right? That makes perfect sense. Enter filter criteria. Let's say. Yeah, and that's what user will try to enter, and it will be added to this request. So let me just check and make sure it's gonna work. But the problem is we have to put the question mark though, right? So yeah, we have to add the question mark here or in there. So if it's manual, we can add it there, but if it's not, we can basically put it. Okay, perfect. In this, okay, the question mark. Let's say we have an example here. Filter name. Let's say key and value, right? This is how it's gonna be. Yeah. Well, that looks good. That looks very, very good. Okay. Let me save and run it and see how it's gonna work. Okay, I'm entering. The key is going to be hostname, right? And the value is switch 1. Perfect, it works. That's very cool, very dynamic and very fast. That's very cool. And if I don't put anything and I just press enter, it will basically get device list. Simple as that. Interesting, very interesting, yeah. Okay, and what's actually, I want to basically loop through this list. I will add the same logic as in Blends, right? Because device for device list. Do we need response here? Yeah, we need response. Okay, let's see if it's gonna work. Pretty much the same. I'm not changing much, but we are filtering by ID, right? So we have a device ID. I think we should have. Yeah, there you go. So in that case, let's specify the ID because that's what we will need mostly. There you go. Perfect. Just perfect. I'm not specifying anything, so don't add anything. Perfect. There you go. We have a list. We have 4 devices here. Nice, nice, very nice. So I think for the first part of this deep dive of DNA Center platform, it's enough because I have been recording this for 1 hour and a half. Yeah, we'll continue and I will upload another video and we'll keep exploring DNA Center. Thank you for watching this video, guys. Make sure to subscribe for more notifications and for new videos. Please ask me questions if you have under the comment section. I would be very happy to help you, and have a nice day.